My name is Jeremy Clements, and the story I'll be telling is the story of the Three Kingdoms. Long ago, when the earth had not settled in its turning, and the stars did not meet into the night sky, there were three kingdoms. The first kingdom was made out of forest. An elephant ruled the forest. He was so strong that whenever he strolled through the forest, all the trees would tremble, and no one would dare to look in his great eye, for they would be afraid to hurt his feelings. "Mine is the greatest kingdom of all," Elephant was fond of saying, and since he was the strongest one of all, many believed this was to be true. The next kingdom was made out of sea, and Shark ruled the sea, with his rows of sharp teeth and his wicked smile. No lobster would dare to talk back at him, because they would be afraid that they would be misunderstood. "Mine is the greatest kingdom of all," Shark would always say, and since he was the fiercest one of all, many believed this was to be true. The next kingdom was made out of sky, and Hawk ruled the sky. With his evil claws and his loud cry of "Kia! Kia!" Everyone was terrified of Hawk, and no one would dare to get in his way because he had a very bad temper. "Mine is the greatest kingdom of all." And since he could fly, many believed this was to be true. The three leaders of these kingdoms would always argue whose kingdom was the greatest. "Come into the forest, and we will see who's strongest." But neither Shark nor Hawk would venture into the forest. "Swim into the sea, and we will see who's fiercest." But neither Elephant nor Hawk could hold their breath long enough to stay in the sea. "Fly up into the sky, and we will see who's the master." But neither Elephant nor Shark could lift themselves up to stay in the sky. While all this was happening, there were other creatures in the world, and they called themselves humans. They were not as strong as Elephant, not as fierce as Shark, nor could they fly like Hawk. So all the other animals would just see them and just laugh at them. So for many seasons, the people held their chins to their chests and their eyes cast down. But one day, Elephant was strolling along the forest, and suddenly he fell into a humongous pit and could not escape, and he was too heavy for any other animal to lift him out. This was a big problem. So the next night, the people gathered around a great fire, telling stories of what happened in their lives. And one man spoke of them needing to build a village, but there was a big stone in the way, and it was way too heavy for them to lift it out. But they saw there was vines around it. So all together, they pulled the vines out, and sure enough, they were able to build the village. So that night, they warmed this in their minds, and they thought to themselves, "This is good." So the next day, they came to the pit where Elephant spent the night. They tied vines around him and pulled him right out. Elephant was greatly pleased. "From now on, I will share the forest with you." And so he did. Another problem was that they could never bathe or swim into the water because they knew that Shark would be there to scare them off. So the next night, they gathered around a great fire, telling stories of what happened in their lives. And one woman spoke of her grandma weaving a mat. She dropped it into the water, and the lizard swam right into it and could not escape. So that night, they warmed this in their minds, and they thought to themselves, "This is good." So the next day, they came and wove the biggest mat they could weave, tossed it into the water, and sure enough, Shark swam right into it. He wiggled, he snapped, but he could not escape. "Let me loose!" he cried. "Will you share the sea with us?" the people respond back to him. For many hours, Shark laid there in that mat, till finally he said, "Let me loose! I will share the sea with you." And they never feared shark again. Another problem, and probably the worst one of all, was they could never go out in an open field because they knew that Hawk would be there to chase them off. He would try to hurt the people. So the next night, they gathered around the great fire, telling stories of what happened in their lives. One man spoke of his daughter trying to catch a butterfly, but she could not until it landed on the floor and she gently picked it up. So that night, they warmed this in their minds, and they thought to themselves, "This is good." So the next night, they came to the baobab tree where they knew that Hawk rested his wings. They tied vines to make a loop, and they threw it right on his neck. Hawk wiggled, he snapped, he tried to fly, but he could not escape. "Ah! Let me loose, and I will share the sky with you." And they never feared Hawk again. After this, a man spoke, and this is what he was saying. "We are the masters of the earth. We can go to the forest, an elephant will greet us. We can go to the sea, and shark will flee from us. And we can go to the sky, and we'll never see Hawk again." But the next night, they came around the great fire, telling stories of what happened in their lives. And the leader of the people stood up, and this is what he said. "We have conquered the strength of elephant and the fear of shark and hawk. We have done all this by telling stories of what happened in our lives. We don't need to be the masters of the earth. We can tell our stories because it is wise to do so." So from that day, the people held their chins up straight and their eyes cast forward, and never forgetting to tell their stories. So let us carry the tradition and tell our stories to each other because it is wise to do so. The end.